Hello everyone, this is Kyle from Teacher's Teacher, and in this video, I'm really excited to talk to you about the basics of using Camtasia. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now you should have the program downloaded already, so what you need to do is go ahead and find your program icon and double click on that icon. Now when you do that, it's going to open up a menu that looks like this. And this menu is going to allow you to do a few things right off the bat here. You can open up a new project. If you have been working on any projects recently, you will see all of those projects listed right here in the recents, in the recent box. So it's just a quick double click on any one of these and it'll get you going. You can start a new recording immediately, jump straight into recording into a new project. You can open an older project if you have something pre-existing. Or you can create something new from a template. And templates are pretty cool. They are just kind of versions of Camtasia that you can have preset, and it'll allow you to jump in easily. And if there's things that you're doing all the time, so for example, the intro to this video and the music behind it, I already have that as a preset. So when I make a new Teacher's Teacher video, I just load it in from a template and I don't have to spend time making all those edits anymore. Now there are some other quick options that you can pick right here if you need any help with anything like that. So why don't you go ahead and open up and start a new project. And when you do that, your new project should look a little something like this. Now the first thing that we want to do when we have our new project open is we want to save it. Even if we have nothing in our timeline and we have made no edits so far, we want to go ahead and go up to File. And then we're going to go down to Save As. And then you can save this really wherever you want on your computer. You choose the location, doesn't really matter. Sometimes I save it to the hard drive, sometimes I save it to a Google Drive in the cloud. It's really just up to you. I already have my title here, so go ahead and give it a file name and hit Save. And I'm going to go ahead and replace what I already had. It'll give you this pop-up window saying that your Camtasia project has saved, which is always great. And it's saved in this format that is very specific and unique to Camtasia. Now to start us off here, I really just want to kind of give you a lay of the land of this program, right? There are 4 specific pieces of the design and the outlook of this program, and I want to go through them one by one with you all. And I'm going to start with the timeline. So the timeline is what we see here at the bottom, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move this up a little bit. You have the ability to move this up. And what we're looking at right now is my video as I'm recording this. And you can see that I have some tracks over here on the left-hand column. And on these tracks, I have some files in my timeline, right? So you can see that this file right here is actually the intro to this video. And as I move this cursor across, you can see that the seconds are kind of ticking away. And you can see it moving in real time on the timeline. And then I also have the little Teacher's Teacher logo mark at the bottom right there, kind of faded a little bit, and it just pops up right when I started talking on this video. You should see it at the bottom as you're watching this as well, right? So the timeline is super important. This is where you're going to input any media files that you have. If you have an image, if you have a video, if you have audio, really anything like that, they're going to show up as a bar in this timeline. And then, just like a normal timeline, you can take a look and you can kind of drag this cursor and you can see that there are little tick marks that are showing you how much time has elapsed at that specific moment in the video. Now, as you are editing and kind of adding things to your timeline, you can always drag it, start it back over, and then you can hit the play button to view anything in your timeline. So you can see the intro right here. Now this brings me to the next important piece, which is the project window. So right above my timeline, right in the center, this is my project window. So anything that I do in my timeline, it should be reflected somehow in my project window, right? The timeline holds the files, it holds the information. The project window is the product of those files and of all of that information and the changes that you're making, okay? So this is my project window. You can zoom by scrolling in with the mouse button. So I'm using a mouse with a scroller. I recommend that. You can zoom in like that. You can also, with this drop down arrow at the top, You can scale it to fit, or you can change the zoom there as well. We're going to get into some of these other options later, but I think another just really basic thing with the project window is just taking a look at the settings. So you can right click on this and you can go to project settings here. And this will tell you, it'll give you the canvas dimension. So it's important that whatever screen you have on your computer, so right now I have a 4K screen that I'm working with, I have the dimensions of my project window also set to 4K. So if you're working on a 1080p, totally fine, doesn't matter. Your video output's gonna be 1080p, that's great. Just make sure that the dimensions of your project window match the actual dimensions of the screen that you're currently working on. It's gonna make the picture look nice and be crisp. You can switch the frame rate if you want to. I just keep it at 30. And then you can change the background color if you need to as well, but that's something we can mess with later. So I'm gonna hit apply. I didn't really change anything there, and I'm gonna leave it. Now, two other really important parts. The first part that I wanna mention here is the left side panel, okay? So we have the project window in the middle, and then we have two side panels. So the left side panel, extremely important. This is where you kind of have all the information that you can either upload and add to your timeline, or any edits that you can make to your video or to any content or media in your timeline. All of the options are right here on the left side panel. So the way that I think about the left side panel is this is a place where I can click and drag and add things to my timeline, okay? So for example, if I want to add an animation, let's say, to our logo mark here, I could go to animations, I can take a look at some animation options that I have, and I can literally click and hold and drag and place that. And we're gonna learn about animations a little bit later, but it's just the idea that you have all these options that are, you are able to click and drag and add to your timeline, okay? Now, in addition to that, we have another right side panel, and this is the property window. So for example, if I have something in my timeline, like this logo mark, if I click on it, you'll notice that the actual box of that media that's in the timeline, or the rectangle on there, is highlighted in yellow because I clicked on it, and then also because I clicked on it, I have some property options of how I can edit this specific media that I have in the timeline and also showing in my property window. So I can change the scale, the opacity of it. I can rotate it around by changing these numbers. And again, we'll get into that later. So right now, we're thinking, this program is split up into 4 sections. We have the timeline at the bottom, we have the project window in the middle, and then we have the left side panel and the right side panel. And that's how we're gonna look at it for right now. Now, continuing with the basics, this is a recording software program. So how do we record, right? How do we record at least our screen, our voice, our camera, all these types of things? So you'll notice at the top left, we have this nice red record button. So once you click on that, this whole program is going to be minimized, and a new sidebar is going to pop up, and it's going to give you some recording options, okay? That sidebar is going to look like this. Now what it's going to do is it's going to show you your recording area. So it's going to give you dimensions of your actual screen, and you should be able to see those dimensions, and you can edit that of the part of your monitor and your screen that you would like to record. If you are recording your screen, that can also be toggled off. We move to the right, we have the option to toggle on our camera. So if you have a webcam either built into your device, or you have a separate like USB plug-in webcam available, it's going to show you that option as well, and you can toggle that on or off, and it'll record both. And then at the same time, you have the microphone, the option to toggle that on and off as well. And no matter if you have a microphone built in or a USB microphone plugged in, you can toggle that on and off. This is going to be the general volume setting for your microphone. What you want to do right before you actually hit this red record button, it's going to give you a countdown before it actually starts. What you always want to do is do a quick mic check. You want to say check 1 2, check 1 2, and just look at your volume level. You don't really want it, if you're talking at a normal volume, you don't really want it to be too high and go into the red. It's not going to sound very good. So you can kind of scroll this and set that to kind of be right, kind of peak right in the yellow is what I like to put it at. And then our last option right here is an option to toggle on your system audio, right? So your microphone is recording anything that your mic picks up, but the system audio is recording anything that your computer is going to output in terms of sound. So you can think about anything that's going to come out of your speakers. If you play something like music, anything like that, or clicks and things like that, if you have anything coming out of your speakers, that is your computer sound. So you can toggle that on or off depending on the type of recording that you're doing. Now we have other options that we can click on at the top right here to continue to edit. We'll talk about those a little bit more, but look at the tools, look at the effects. You can draw on the screen, you can do lots of cool things. Again, this is just the basics, so we're just kind of setting up this process, and then when you're ready, you can hit that record button. Now, when you are recording, there's going to be an additional bar that pops up onto the side, and it's going to have a little timer for you of the current time that you have in your recording, and it's also going to give you the option to delete, pause, and to stop. So go ahead and test it out. Go ahead and record yourself for a few seconds. Turn everything off except your mic or your screen or really whatever you want, and just test it out. All right. So what I've done is I took that section that I just recorded and clipped it. So now what I need to do is I need to go back into my program after I have stopped that recording, and it should open up your Camtasia screen again once you're done recording. And then you're going to go to your left side panel. You have all these options, and the option right at the top is the option to look at all of your media. Okay, so you can see right here that I have two different sections of screen recordings, and this was the last one that I just completed. So all I need to do to add this to my timeline is I'm going to go ahead and click and drag and move this to my timeline, and I'm just going to move it and line it up right after my previous recording. Okay? You can see that this is split up into two different files because I recorded two different things. This first file, as it says right here in parentheses, is the screen, and this second one is my camera and also the audio that you can hear me through right now through my microphone that I recorded right there. And again, we'll dive into more details about how to edit that and what that looks like a little bit later on. Now let's finish up this video and actually let me show you how to do just a few really simple basic edits as we start to learn about our program here. So what we can see here, and I can kind of move this along the timeline, and this was me recording, so I can do a few things, right? I can click on this media that I have in the timeline, and this is my audio and video, and I can actually take this, and as it's highlighted in the timeline, you see that there are these little edit circles that pop up, and good, it caught me with my eyes closed, so that's great. So I can change the size of my video, of where it's going to be placed on the screen. I'll probably place it somewhere like that in this recording, about that size, maybe a little bit smaller than that, and probably have it move around as we're looking at different sections. So I can edit things like that. What I can also do is I can right click, so because this file is showing my camera and it's also showing, or it also has my audio, I can right click on this and I can hit separate audio and video. So if I click separate audio and video, now I have my video right here, my camera, and my audio is right here as a separate file, compared to this one, the first section of the recording that I did, where those are still kind of clumped together. Now I can make simple edits. Let's say that I need to look at a section and cut a little piece out because I made a mistake, right? Mistakes happen. So what you can do is when you move your cursor around the timeline, the cursor is kind of like your home base of where you're going to be editing things in that moment in time, in that location on the timeline. So if I want to make an edit right here, let's say, because it looks like I wasn't really talking, I kind of paused right there and I was thinking, but I don't want people to see that in my video, so I'm going to edit that part out. So what I can do is put my cursor over it, and I can just zoom in a little bit, so I can hit this plus sign right here, just to zoom in on this location. And you can see you can zoom pretty far in. Now what I'm going to do, because my audio, my video, and my screen are all synced up together, is I'm going to highlight all of them. And let's say that I'm going to go over here right where I stopped talking, and I want to cut. I'm going to make a slice right here so I can move things around a little bit. So I'm going to highlight all three. I'm going to move my little cursor right here. And I'm going to go over here to this option called split, and I'm going to click this button. So what that did was it just created a split in all three of these because I had all of them selected. So now what I can do, I can also go over here and split it again right before where I started to speak again. So I'm going to hit split. So now we can see that there's this section right here that is some kind of dead time in my video where I wasn't really talking, right? So I can literally just go ahead, highlight all these, and then hit delete. And now that little section of me not speaking is gone. And then I, don't want to have this play and then just kind of have a blank screen. So what I can do now is highlight all of these, click, left finger click, and just drag and then move them over. Now it's going to show like a little quick glitch in the video. You're going to see those in my video because I'm recording this in a few takes, right? But I got rid of that dead space where I wasn't talking, so that's pretty nice, right? So that's a nice, really easy edit that you can do. Now let's say that maybe I want to change the volume of my audio. So I have my audio files right here that I split before, and the audio is pretty easy to change if you're doing it all at once. So I'm zooming in again, so you can zoom in again with this bar right here. You can also do it, the key shortcut is holding down Control and then scrolling up on your mouse will zoom in, and then scrolling down on your mouse while still holding Control will zoom you out. So I'm going to zoom in, and if I want to change the level of the audio, that is signified by this green bar right here. So once I have my audio file highlighted, it's going to give you a green bar, and you can literally just click and drag. So let's say my audio was way too loud. All right, let me drag that down a little bit, and I can hit play. I can listen and be like, okay, well, that sounds a little bit better, but maybe I need to, turn it up a little bit just so, and you can get it perfect, the sound and the audio really however you want. Now the last thing that I want to show you is just how to add a transition. So as we are, editing, let's say I want to have a transition on my computer screen right here, right where I made this cut. So what I can do is I can go to the left side panel, click on transitions, and then I have a bunch of different options right here. Maybe I want the picture to kind of to dissolve out and then dissolve back in as it goes to the next frame. It's really just as easy as clicking and dragging, and you'll see that as I start to drag, there's two places highlighted in yellow telling me that these are locations where I could put a transition like this. Notice that I can't add it to the audio. You can't transition the audio with a video transition, so I want to put it on my screen. And just like that, you play it back, and it should fade out and fade back in using the dissolve motion. Now let's say that we're done with our video, right? The last thing that we need to do is export our video so people can see it. So all I need to do to export my video is go up here to the top, this button that says export, and then you have a couple options as to where you can export it. I usually save it to my computer first, so I export it to a local file. If you want to go straight to Google Drive, if you want to sync your Google Drive to this, you can, or straight to YouTube, which we'll learn about later, you can as well. But let's just go for the local file here. You're going to choose your output setting. I usually go up to 1080p, and then you hit next. You give it a name, and then you hit finish, and then it will load out, and then your complete video file will be saved for you on your computer. Okay, so this again was just a basic overview of Camtasia. So I'm looking forward to diving into more of the details with you all as we begin this process of video creation. I'll see you in the next one.